Today, let's talk about the greatest player on the planet and his rivals. While I will always stand by the fact that I do not feel Jordan had an individual who truly rivaled him during his 15 years in the association, I will say there were teams and even a few individuals who made things very hard on the GOAT. We will discuss just a few of those teams and players today and how those rivalries played out in his storied career. If you were around for those years, you know Jordan was an absolute beast, an assassin-like with his mentality. He made sure to kill the spirits of any player or teams that stepped in his way. I even think that he reveled in those that really challenged him on the court and made him work even harder in the weight room or the actual court. This will be a series that will continue for a few parts, so today I will narrow it down to 3 more obstacles that stood in his way and basically with rivalries he had to conquer in his career.
But YouTube, before I get into that, please like and subscribe to the channel. Everything helps, and we're trying to reach that 1,000 sub goal. So thank you guys. And also, if you enjoy podcasts, and we all do, check out the GOATcast podcast on my second channel. Link will be in the description. Myself and Big Nige talk about all things NBA, past, present, and even future. So check that out. Thank you.
So for this edition, we're going to journey back to Washington Wizards Michael Jordan. And if you're around during those times, you know that this version of Mike was the older, not quite in his prime number 23. And while he still had some stellar performances on the court, there's no denying he wasn't quite the same player he was as a Chicago Bull. Either way, it was the climax to the greatest career of all time and still produced some of the finest showdowns in NBA history. And these are just a few that Mike got to lock horns with before he finally called it quits. Number 3, Ray Allen. Some of these names we probably wouldn't put next to Mike's because of when they entered and how their corresponding primes were either during Mike's very last run or when Mike was already in retirement. However, Mike and Ray Allen would actually have a pretty decent sample size when it comes to playing against each other. While Ray tested the waters in his young career against Bulls Mike, and we may revisit those matchups, it was once Jordan returned wearing the Wizards jersey that the GOAT got to really see what a challenge Jesus Shuttlesworth really was. Most of us probably remember Ray as the sharpshooter he became as he got deeper into his prime. But Ray was as much a threat from all over the court, from 3, mid-range, and even slashing when he was younger. As we've all come to accept, Wizards Michael Jordan wasn't quite the highlight maker that Bulls Jordan was. While still very capable at the 2 guard and still a menace on the court, we saw what most of us dreaded, and that was Father Time exposing Mike a little more than we were used to. Either way, in his final season, he dueled it out with Ray Allen in both a Bucks and Sonics jersey. This was Ray's 7th season. The two would duke it out in 2 games that saw Jordan best Ray in both as far as scoring and splitting the 2 games going 1-1. In the Bucks jersey, Mike outscored Ray 24-16, but fell short to the Bucks team. With Ray in a Sonics uniform, Mike again outpointed Ray, this time 26-17, and statistically outperformed a much younger guard in every statistic except assist. Not bad for a 40-year-old. Their clashes over the span of 12 games saw Mike average 28.8 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.8 assists. Ray, on the other hand, ended with 16.7 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists against the GOAT. Of course, it would have been intriguing to see more of prime Ray Allen against prime Jordan, but even past his prime, Jordan was able to basically best the gunner from UConn. Number 2, Paul Pierce. Another name we often don't associate with Mike's, but they had some showdowns before he parted ways into the sunset, and that is Paul Pierce. Pierce came into the league in the 1998-1999 season, right after Mike had left. That didn't stop them from going toe-to-toe when Jordan returned in Washington. These years were dipping into Pierce's prime as he was becoming a force in a Boston jersey and steadily getting that team closer and closer to their eventual chip in 2008. Like him or not, Pierce was a stud on the court. His ability to score was his bread and butter, but don't get it twisted. Pierce was an above-average defender during his prime years, and at 6'7" could slow down 2 guards and small forwards. Having been named to the 75th NBA anniversary team tells you all you need to know. Mike and his Wizards would be tested by the All-Star. Having played each other 6 times in their careers, Jordan actually owns the matchup, having bested Pierce 4 out of their 6 meetings. However, when you look at their matchups a little closer, Pierce outscored Mike 3 of the 6 meetings as they seemed to trade buckets in bunches. Pierce even dropped 36 on Mike and those Wizards, although coming up short in overtime 99-98. In their storied meetings, Mike averaged 22.5 points per game, 9.5 rebounds, and 4.7 assists, while Pierce matched Mike's offensive output with 22.5 points per game, also 6.2 rebounds and 5.2 assists. Both being fairly evenly matched stats-wise, this could have been an ongoing rivalry had Mike had a little left in the tank and or Pierce had entered the league a little earlier. Either way, they had some great battles on the hardwood and proved what they were two of the very best. Number 1, Tracy McGrady. There are a few players that we never seem to have got to witness them fully at their peak, but Tracy McGrady will forever be one of those. Due to an unfortunate plethora of injuries, McGrady would have a truly sad fall-off that many didn't expect, but once the injury bug started hitting, it just would never let up. Either way, in his short peak of a career, McGrady managed to be a 7-time All-Star, win 2 scoring titles, and make multiple All-NBA teams. An exceptional scorer that could light you up from almost anywhere on the court. At 6'8" and able to play both shooting guard and small forward, he was a wing threat that terrorized teams throughout the mid-2000s. We'll always have it in the back of our minds if Tracy could have been mentioned in the same breath as some of the very best had he been able to carry on his full career healthy, but it's one of those questions that will never be answered. With all that said, Tracy at his very best was able to meet Jordan 5 times. He did take on Bulls Mike early in his career in the 98 season, but we're here for Wizards Jordan. As a Wizard, Jordan was 2-3 against Orlando Magic McGrady. However, in a losing effort as Mike got the last laugh with the 106-105 victory. As a Wizard, Jordan would only outscore McGrady once in their 5 meetings, having put up 32 to Tracy's 31 points. But when you look at their average, it shows just how great Tracy McGrady was as he entered into his prime. Jordan finished their meetings averaging 20.9 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.5 assists, while McGrady averaged 24.1 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and led Jordan every statistic minus steals, where Mike only outpaced him 1.8 to 1.6. It's a shame that we couldn't get those two going back and forth in their primes, as I believe Tracy would have given Jordan everything he could handle, even with Mike having fresher legs. It's one of those who knows scenarios that us NBA fans can trade opinions and thoughts on forever. So there are 3 more rivals in Jordan's historic career. This series will definitely continue, and round 4 will bring in even more challenges from teams and players. So if you want to ascend to GOAT status like number 23, please like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate you guys for helping GOATcast Hoops get closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. Hope you enjoyed and be back soon with more content.